Hello? You guys can hear me, right? Give me some feedback.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the assignment. Okay. Aston, Julian, Connor, right? You guys turning early and I review. Let me complete as expected. Very good. So Nathan, I don't know why you didn't turn in. Okay? I know you worked it, but it didn't turn in. Because you don't care about that, maybe. Jeffrey, right? I replied to you.
Yeah, I think I fixed it.
You fixed? Have you updated?
Yep.
Okay. One question: why you are not writing that in the rep.it? You're writing the document. Then how you can test if it's correct or not?
Yeah, but I copy and paste it into the repo because I don't know like how to link the repo.
No, look at other people, right? Here, right? Look at here. Connor submitted it with the rep ID link, right? If I open here, I can see his code and I can even run this to test if his code are working fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everyone, right? Try to use the rep.it, copy code here, test it, and just copy paste the. I think when you turn in, you have options that submitted with the link, right? Okay, so because like here, if you're already running this code in the rep.it, so look at here. If I copy that, I go to the rep.it. My repo. Okay, so go to practice. Okay, here, that is the code, right? I didn't make anything, any changes. I just copy paste. But definitely I cannot run this, right? If I run it, you got an error. Okay? So whatever you turn in, please test it. Okay? What's the problem here? What's the problem here? Well, I said you didn't use parent class when define the teacher, so subclass, right? And also the indentation error. Look at here. I have a parent, I don't know what the two parents. Okay? So def about def teach. Okay. Okay. So I can tell you didn't understand in the parent training class. Okay? Because I don't see correctly created. And also, okay, what's the problem here, Jeffrey? Jeffrey? What is this?
Print name.
Yeah, what is this? Print name. It's a function, right?
Yep.
So this function is inside the parent class or not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then the problem is you didn't put the indentation.
Oh yeah, we have to indent.
Right? That's totally different. If you do like this, which means the print name is a standalone function, okay? Nothing related to the parent. Right?
Yep.
Okay, that's the same thing. About teach, about teach. Here, that's not correct. Okay. The way how you create teacher is totally wrong. Okay. And I don't know why you have defend, about and defend teacher together. No. Okay, it's not good. Okay, so you didn't really, you know. You should look at the video I talked on Thursday. And of course, last Thursday, I forgot to record it. Okay, but if you don't have time to attend the Thursday's class, please watch my video. Okay. Same problem as Louis. Louis, you there, right?
Yes, I'm there.
Did you update your homework? I didn't see update the version. You're still confused?
But I didn't have time to write it. I didn't have time to watch it.
Okay. So what I said is the problem of you have here is you have a parent class defined, which is good. And then you have a, what is the class introduced, right? You're confused between class and the function. So this is not good.
Oh, it's just like the subclass name.
Introduce is not a class name. Introduce is a function. Okay. And also you're defining teacher class inside the parent class. Okay. Do you see the indentation? Do you see the indentation? So this is not working. This is not working. Okay. I don't know why is it, where do you have the classroom? Did I mention classroom in my assignment description? Right? This is not good. Okay. Victor. Did you update this, Victor?
No.
Okay. So the problem I'm talking about here is line number 2. Okay. Here. In the init function, right? Self and name, there are 2 different parameters. You should not using comma. You should not using dot, right? You should using comma. Okay, just like this. Self, comma, name. Okay. Second issue, 13. This one. Okay, I believe you try to do self dot subject equals to subject. Okay, so this means I assign the past subject value to my property subject. Okay, so here the syntax issue. Line number 18. Again, guys, pay attention to the indentation. What does it mean? Which means you are defining the teacher inside the object function, right? You should have the teacher is teach, not teacher. Teach is a function, but that function is separate from the about function. Okay, so there is extra indentation here. Should be deleted. Okay, should be deleted. Alice, you turn in your homework. Let me check it. Person, name, start, name, introduce, name. Okay, have you tested? You didn't test it, right? How to test it? You create a person. Okay, and then you can call the function on the person, right? Okay, I just call this one. So if I run this, you give an error. Why? Name Felix is not defined. What's the problem of this one? Line number 3. Look at line number 3. The red underline, right? Felix. Listen, what's the problem here?
I don't know.
Okay. Look at my screen, okay? Here, undefined name Felix. Again, right? When we are using the code, in this case, if you don't have single quote, which means it's a variable. But do I have a variable Felix here? No, we don't have. Okay. And what we should do here is, because the name is a parameter, which means there's going to be a value passed into this function. And then what you do is you assign the passed name to my name property. So that should be the correct code, right? That's the reason why when you try to create an object of a class person, you pass in Felix. So this value is the value for the name. Okay, so when it's initialized, it will be initialized values at the value for name. That's the reason why you are able to using self.name, right, which going to be values. Okay, right, to see here, values, hello, my name is, right? That's how you are able to accept the value of the property. And of course, right, here the order of the concatenate has a problem. Right? If we change like that, run this. Oh, I'm calling the introduce, right? Right, so then you're able to display the sentence correctly. Okay, but I think Felix, right? You made some progress. At least you're close, right? Very close. Just made one mistake to be able to create the class, which is good. Okay, keep improving. Okay, so for other guys, okay, please. I mean, I have to emphasize again, right? Please pay attention during the class, okay? Because I have explained every piece of code in the class, okay, on Tuesday, on Thursday. Of course, if you don't understand, okay, please raise your question. If you don't raise your question, I'm assuming you understand completely, okay? But whatever you turn in for the assignment, I don't think so. Okay, you guys have made lots of basic errors or mistakes, which means you're not listening to the class. Okay, that's what we easily tell from the assignment. Okay, I don't want it to, you guys keep doing like that. Okay, let's make the use of the 1.5 hours, okay, and save the time for both of us. Okay, so quickly back to the assignment. Okay, class. Okay, this is what I did on Thursday, right? Okay, here. What I do. Louis, Jeffrey, listen carefully, right? When we try to create a parent and a children class, how? When we say class, okay, they has to be created separately. Okay? So which one is a parent class? Person is a parent class, right? Because that is more generic prototype, right? No matter teacher, student, or worker, they are all persons. Okay? So answer my question. Why do we need a parent and a children class? Yeah. Why do we have to create parent class called person and then create a children class which is inherited from the parent class? Why? Why do we have to do that? Or what's the advantage, right? We do the coding like this. Louis. Louis, you there?
Yes.
What's the advantage, okay, when we are doing the coding by using parent class and a children class? Do you know? Jeffrey?
Yep.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
No, Steve. Why do
Teacher?
what's the advantage if we create the parent class and the children class?
So you could put students as like subdivisions?
We can create different children class, right, from the parent class person, right? Look at here, right? If I minimize this, I can see teacher, student, they are my children class. And the person is my parent class, right? Or you can answer me, what we call the class inheritance. What does it mean? Inheritance. Huh? Jeffrey? What does mean of parent class inheritance? You know? Mason, what's the meaning of inheritance?
It's like from the parent class, whatever like functions it's gonna the children class is gonna inherit.
Okay.
Like it's gonna the properties of the parent class will be in the property of the children class.
Only properties?
It's like code.
Functions.
Yeah. Victor,
like
what did you say?
It's like codes that like from the parent class that will like be in like the child class. It's like these codes and stuff. It's stuff about the parent class or other stuff.
Yeah, correct. Right. So the advantage, or what we call the class inheritance, which means you have a parent class and you have a children class which is inherent the parent class. Okay. If that, right, if so, which means all the property and the function inside parent class will be inherited by its children class. Right? So this is gonna save our code to avoid duplicate functions or properties. Why I say that? Think about that, right? This one. Go back to this example, right? I have two children class, hard weapon and cold weapon. Okay. Both of these two children class has common property, right? And a common function. If I don't have the parent class, which means what? Which means I have to duplicate the same property and function in both children class, right? This will be not easy to manage, okay, or maintain. So from the coding perspective, we try to extract those common properties or functions separately and put into a separate class. And then the other two class is inherent the parent class. Okay? And if one day I said, hey, I don't want it to have the type, what I do is I just delete the type property in my parent class, then the sub or the children class will be automatically lose or delete the property. Okay? So that's the advantage of the class inheritance. Okay? So when we define a children class, teacher, student, okay, Jeffrey, that's a problem you made, right? That's the error you made. How we create a children class? Jeffrey, answer me. How we create a children class?
How you create a children's class?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the difference between?
So, parent class is it's just like regular, but like child class inherits the properties of the parent class.
If you want to make a child class, it's basically class, and then you have to like write the name of your child class, and after in parentheses write the name of your parent class.
Yeah.
And then it goes to stuff.
Yeah. Look at here, right? The only difference between creating a parent class and a children class is here. If it's a parent class or normal class, right? When we talk about normal class, because parent class is also normal class, we don't have the parentheses. Okay, so which means I'm just alone, right? I'm not inheriting or any other class. But if we wanted to say, hey, I want to create a children class of another class, you have to put the parentheses and the parent class name. That's the way how you're coding and creating that relationship. Okay, same thing here, student person, right? That's the reason why, Jeffrey, I'm telling you whatever you created, you don't have the parent class. Okay? Clear, Jeffrey?
Yep.
Okay. Louis, you there?
Yeah.
Answer my question. How many children class can one parent class have?
As much as you want.
Huh? How many children class can one parent class have?
Infinity.
I cannot hear you.
Infinity.
Huh?
Infinity.
Okay. Yeah. You can create any number of the children class, right? I think we are also talking about the generation, right? What's the generation mean? Okay, which means I'll quickly show you guys an example. I'll start. Class generation. Okay, what does it mean? I have a class, grand class. Okay, so I try to define a function about. Okay. Okay. I have a grand class. I have what? A parent class, which is inherent the grand class. Makes sense, right? Your grandpa gave birth to your father, and what? Your father gave birth to you, right? I like this one. You need it, okay? And Louis, right? Pay attention to the underscore. It's an underscore, okay? Two underscore here. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a grandchildren class, which is inherent in the parent class. Now I try to create a children class object, right? Yeah, I'll just do that, right? Print out. It didn't print out like a class. Give this. Pronounce super init. So what I'm trying to say is the parent and the children relationship can be multiple level. Okay? The child class can inherit from the parent class. At the same time, the parent class can be inherited from the grand class. Okay? Of course,
Why do you need so many classes?
why do we need so many? That's a good question. Because in the programming world, we try to use programming codes to present everything in our world. Okay, in our world. And if you look around our world, it just consists lots of different things, right? And we try to using class to represent each thing. Table, chair, bed, car, bus, right? And you're gonna find definitely we shouldn't, right? We shouldn't create class for each theme in the world. We try to abstract those things, try to group them, right? Based on their property, based on their features or functions, we try to group them and using generic programming class to represent them. Okay, that is actually the main concept of the OOP programming. We said object-oriented programming. Okay, we're using class to represent different themes in our life. Okay, if you remember here, remember we have coding the game, right? Here, this is our game. If you remember of the play game, right? Here we don't using concept of class. Okay, but actually, right, in the skilled coding, we should create class for that, because what you see here is with the when the game is becoming complicated and complicated, okay, you cannot handle all the logic, okay, inside one flat file. This is only one flat file. You have to create and wrap it all those logic into different class and into different module, right? So for example, like for all these logics, okay, we don't have to repeat, right, for every object check. Okay, we can embed all the logic inside the class. This will be easy to maintain and extend. Okay, I mean, once you are coding more, you're gonna realize, okay, what is the better way, right, or the pattern to make your code. Okay, that will be a different level of coding. Maybe at the beginning level, we only thinking about how can we achieve the logic, how can we create the logic as required. Right? But then if you are coding on a higher level, you have to think about that, right? How can I organize my logic and the code in the correct pattern? Right? It will be easy to extend and easy to maintain. That will be different. Okay, that's the reason why we said the class, right, is very important. The class is the critical concept. Okay, you have to master if you wanted to, you know, step in next level of the program. Okay, in all the things. Okay, quickly come back here. About here, right? So we're talking about the parent class, talking about the children class, right? And we're also talking about, yeah, the generation can be multiple level, right? And here, when we create, take this example, person class, we have a property called name, okay? And then we have a function called introduce, right? And now we create a teacher, which is a children class, extend the person parent class. When I create the init function, I'm passing two values. One name, the other is subject. The name is the property which is included in the parent. Okay, so Victor, right? Pay attention to the how we create the parameter, right, and how we call the self. Okay, so in the init function of the children class, what we do is we know name is the property from the parent class, so we are calling the super.init. Super means what? Your parent. Okay? Whenever place you see the super, which means, oh, it tried to call my parent. So here it means, hey, call the init function of my parent class, which is this, and passing the name to it, right? Then he can initialize the value of the name property. Remember, the name property is where? It's defined in the person, okay? It's not defined in teacher, right? So for the property from parent, you have to pass the value for it to initialize. And of course, right? We said if we have some common things, put in the parent. But if you have some property function, it's only specific to yourself. You should keep it in yourself. Like subject. Subject is only, right, specifically property to teacher, right? Just assign the subject to the teacher itself, right? Again, the self stands for the object. Another class is object. When I create an object of teacher called child, okay, the self is referred to the child, right? Okay, now we create a function called object and teach, right? Object teach the specific function which is not existing in the parent class. Yeah, question.
This is last week's homework, right?
What?
Is this last week's homework?
This is actually the homework, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just emphasize those knowledge points again, right? Make sure for some people don't understand. Okay. So here we create objects about and teach. There are specific functions to the teacher, right? So you create an object of the class, right? And then you are calling the introduce function. Where the introduce function existing? It's in the parent. But again, we said children class is inherent everything from the parent class. That's the reason why at the object of the children class, I'm able to call the function. I also can call the function which is create a specific, inside of my children class. Okay, so that is for teacher. Similarly, you can do the same thing for student, right? Because student is also inherent from the person, but they have different property and function. Class number, right? About, study, and a call, right? A create object of my children class and a call the function. Okay, same thing for the worker. I didn't do for the worker, right? So let me do that right now, quickly, right? Class, worker. Okay, I try to define my class. Okay, does the class have the parent class? Yes, which is person. I put it here. Okay, so now I need to create an init function. Double underline, init. Okay, besides self, right? We are also parsing the name because that's a property for the parent class. Name and department. Department is a specific property to the worker. So inside this, what we do is we call the super dot init. We're gonna pass in name. Why? Because the name is from the parent class. So I'm passing value of name. And then beside that, I'm using self dot department. Right? Department. Department is a specific function, or not function property to the worker class. Okay. Okay, I create my init function. Now I want to create object function, right? Object. Okay, so inside the object function, what I'm doing is what? I'm printing out I am a worker. Okay, and I'm gonna also create a function called work, right? That is specific function to the worker. I print out. Okay, I'm working in department, right? Okay, concatenate with the self.department, the value of the property. Okay, so now I create an object of my child class worker. Okay, I need what? I need a pass two value, name and department. Okay, I call the introduce from the parent class, I call the object, and I call the work, right? So if I run this, you see here, I'm print out my name, I print out the sentence, I print out the worker messages. Okay, so that is how we complete the assignment. So Louis, Jeffrey, clear?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Pay attention to the indentation.
Yeah, the indentation is important.
Of course, it's important because the Python don't have they're using indentation to decide, right, the logic belongs to which block. Okay, it's very important. Okay, and also try to use the repo.it, or even don't use that, right? You can use in your PyCharm. Code, small piece, test it, right? Only it's working, then proceed or adding more code. That's the way how we, you know, do something, test it, do something, test it, do something, test it. Okay? If you're writing like 100 lines of code without testing, and when you do the testing at the end of your completion for the 100 line code, you're gonna have you have a lot of error, and you don't confused, oh, where is the error? Where's the root cause of the error? So always build a small, simple code, test it going through, pass, then adding more codes. Okay, adding more codes. That is always the strategy when trying to solve a complex problem. How can we solve a complex problem? Break down, right? Chunk a complex problem to a small piece. Okay, you need to know I need to finish the complex problem. I need to finish the total 10 small tasks, right? Let me finish first task, second task, third task, and every small task I solve it and test it, right? Test pass. I'm working on the next small task. Okay, that's the way how the human being to solve all the complex project or complex problem. Okay, so that's about the assignment. If we don't have more questions, let's move to the next items. Okay, there's some other things I wanted to emphasize about the parent and children class. Let me see, where is my okay, I'm gonna using this as example. Okay, I think we probably have to restart the meeting, right? Because it's almost 40 minutes. Okay. So let me just clean it up.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry. The first things I want to talk about is super. Super is a keyword, right? Which is used in the child class. Okay. The concept of super, which means I'm in the child class, but I wanted to refer to the properties or functions which is coming from my parent class. How do I do that? Using super. Okay. Like here, right? In my children class, right, I have an init function, which will be called automatically when trying to create every object of this class. Okay, it takes two parameters, name and subject. name is the property coming from the parent class. Okay, so I need to pass to the parent class because it need initialize the value for the name property, right? And for the property for the value subject, which is a specific property to the children class, I don't need to pass to them. Okay, so that's the reason why if you create an object, right, of teacher class, I need a passing two value, right? One is name, the other is a subject. Okay, once you create an object of the class teacher, now you said obj dot name, right? You print out, you gotta add it, right? This is object of children class, but because it's inherent the parent class person, that's the reason why I'm able to using name property. Okay, so then the question, if I don't have those super, right? If I don't have that super, can I use the name directly? If I run this, what are you going to see? It's calling each object has no attributes names, which means this name property is not initialized at all. Right? It's not initialized at all. Then what happened if I'm using super dot name dot name? Will it work? Let's see. No, it's still not working. Okay, it's still working. So in order to initialize the name property, you have to using the init function of the parent class. Okay, super parenthesis init. And passing name because it's expecting only a name, right? Okay, so I have another function, right? What happened inside my function? Okay, if I am the normal function inside my children class, if I create that, right? I can say object dot introduce. I can call the function inherited from my parent class. I can call the function of myself, right? So I run this. Okay, it will print out the messages from two different functions. What about that? Inside my object function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the introduce function from my parent class. Can I do it? Of course you can do that because what I said, super is the reference of your parent, right? So super.introduce, which means I'm going to call the introduce function of my parent class first, and then print out I'm a teacher. So in this case, you don't have to explicitly to call introduce, because why? Because when you call the object function, it will call the introduce function also, right? If I run this, you can see the same output, right? But I only call one function, right? Inside this one function, it's going to call the parent function first. Are we clear about that? Okay. So that is how we're using super in the function inside the training class. Okay, then you may ask me, right? How about this? What do you think? I have an introduced function in my person, which is a parent class. I have another duplicate function introduced in my children class. Okay, so when I call object.introduce, which function gonna be called? Nathan.
The introduce.
Which one?
Def introduce self.
Huh?
Huh?
I'm asking, I called object.introduce. Which introduce function will be called? The parent one or children one?
Children.
Let's take a look at it. What do you say? If there is a duplicated function in both parent and children, when you call the function, it will actually call the children one. But does it always like that? Okay, let's change the object. I create an object, but not from my teacher function, a teacher class. I make it from my person class. Now I call object.introduce. Right? Julie, what do you think? Which introduce function is going to be called? Julie? Are you in the call, Julie? Can I hear you?
Oh, yes, I can hear.
Did you get my question? I create an object of my person class. I call the introduce function. Which introduce function going to be called? Is the person one or teacher one?
Class person.
Okay, let's run this. You're right. The function from the person class can be called. So what I found? The principle is, if there is a duplicate function, or we call it override function, okay, existing, which function can be called is depending on what class this object is created from. Okay, if this object is created from the parent class, when you call the introduce function, definitely going to call the version from the parent class, right? But if the object is created from the children class, this introduce we're calling from the version in the children class. Okay, are we clear? Any question? Okay, no more question, right? Let me talking about another one. We are talking about one parent class. Okay, can we have multiple parent class? Right, imagine in your family, normally we have parent, father, mother, we have children. Okay, one children can have two parents, father and mother, right? Same concept here. I can have a class called other, okay? And we said we will not give any props, we just give him a function, okay? Father is good at write, okay, suppose, right? And we're gonna put a print, right? Inheriting correctly. Okay, from father's Good, right? Okay. And at the same time, we have a class called mother. Okay. We have a different class, a function called speak, right? Green, inherent from mothers. Do you find why do I have to double single quote? Why do I have double single quote? If I did one, what I found? Give me error. Why? Because see, I'm using a single quote to wrap a string, right? So if we have a single quote here, it will be break the wrapping logic. There are two ways to fix that. Either you have a double single quote, which do the escape, or you change the single quote to double quote, right? Make them different. Okay, both we're gonna work. Okay, now I have two class. Now I have gonna create a children class. Child. As I said, a children can have two parents. So father, mother. Yeah, so we wanted to inherit the things from both parents, right? You can put the multiple parents when you create a child class. Okay, so I'm using pass, okay? Nothing in the child, but I'm still able to create a child object right from the child class. And then I can using write dot speak. Okay, I execute that. What do you see? I am a children class, but I'm able to inherit multiple parent class, not limited to two. Okay, not limited to. It can be multiple. Okay, so in this case, all the property and function inside each parent class will be inherited by the children class. That's the reason why if I create an object of the children class, I can use their functions. Okay, are we clear? We're clear, right? Okay, so that is multiple parent class, right? We just also talking about the multiple multiple level, okay? Multiple level inheritance. So which means I have a father, I have a mother, suppose I have a grandfather, right? Grandfather. If I'm doing like that, okay? Grandfather has a function called speak, and father has a function called write, and have a child. In this case, I wanted to, father is inherited from the grandfather, right? And the children is the inherited from the father. What do you see? Children inherit father, father inherit grandfather, right? So now I have an object of a child class. I call that. I'm still able to call these two functions. Why? Because multiple level inheritance, right? It is like still working, right? Children inherit the function from the parent, right? And the father inherits the function from grandparents, right? Just like in your family, you have something which is you inherit from your father, but your father inherits from your grandfather. Okay, the same concept here. Okay, so any question?
You.
Huh? I would say,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Why don't you need super in this situation?
Why do I need the what?
The super function. I mean, yeah, the super code.
Why don't I need the super code here? You mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't need, right? And of course you can say that, okay? Suppose I have a say, okay? Okay, so now I call the say function. I have multiple level class, right? In each level class, I have a duplicate function called say. Okay, so now if you create an object of child, granted child class, you call the say, what do you see? It's only display the message coming from the child, right? But if you said, hey, I have to have the say greeting from my father, also from my grandfather, how are you going to do that? There's no way for me to call Alan.super.say, right? Or Alan.super.super.say. So what we do is here, inside your say function, I call super, because again, what's the purpose of super? Super provides the reference of the parent class. So if I put a super in my child class, super means father, right? So super.say, right? I call my parent.say. Same thing here, right? So now, if I run the code, what do you see? You know what? Let me try to create the breakpoint, right? To show you the debug, okay? In the PyCharm IDE, in most of the IDE, we are able to use debug feature, which can help you to understand how the code is executed step by step. So I click on the line number, it is gonna create the red dot here. Okay, so which means when the code is executed to this place, it's gonna be stop here or pause here. Okay, so now, like this. Now if I run the code that debug my class, make a guess, which line of code, okay, the debug gonna be paused at. Nathan, what do you think?
What was the question?
My question is, I create those breakpoints in my code. Now I try to debug my code. Which line of code the debug gonna be paused at? So basically, I'm asking you, which line of code will be executed firstly?
The parent class?
Give me the line number. Line number 4? Huh?
4?
Okay, you think line number 4, Aston. Which line of code do you think it will be executed firstly? Huh?
Yeah, I think 4 too.
4? Okay. Any different answer? Okay, let's take a look, all right? Now I right click, debug. Right? It will initialize, right? It will be longer than the normal execution. But now it stopped it. It stopped at line number 16. It's not 4, 8, 9, 13, or 14. It stopped at line number 16. What does it mean? If you look at the code, above code, what they're doing, they only define the class. Again, define when the whole engine execute the code. Okay, define class is separate. Okay, define class doesn't mean the logic inside the class will be called. Okay, so the actual first line of the code will be executed is here. What I'm doing, I'm trying to create an object of the class child. Okay, let's look at here. We're gonna see a window showing here. Okay, it's showing me I'm pausing right now at line number 16. Okay, so if I open the special variable, right, variable, what do I see? I can see 3 class, right? Ignore those variable which is starting with the underline. So they are the system variable. Okay, it's not your code variable. But I can see the 3 class definitions here. They defined but haven't executed. Okay? Do I have Alan variable here? No, I don't have. Because why? Because this line of code hasn't been executed. I pause here. So now let's look at this option. Step over, step into my code. Okay. Now if I click on step over means let's proceed to the next line of code. I click on this. What do you see? The highlight is moving to the next line, which is 17, which means the 16th line of code has been executed by the engine, coding engine, right? So now you're going to see what? Alan. Oh, there is a variable called Alan. It's created. And what this variable point to? It point to as the object of a children class. Do you see here? Okay? But I don't have anything here. Because why? Because the children class don't have any property, right? Now if I call the Alan.say, which means I'm gonna call this function, right? Let's see if I make it go, I proceed, not for this one. Resume the program, let it go. What do I see? Oh, the code execution is come to the line number 13. Why? Because I call the same function. Right? It's gonna go to the class. What? Same function. So the engine execute here. Super.say. Okay, so now I have second question. If I let the program proceed, which line of code it will go to? Listen. Right now it is paused here, but if I let it continue, proceed, execute, which line of code it will go to? Listen. Victor.
Yeah.
Which line of code do you think it will be executed to? I'm here right now.
I think I'm pretty sure it's gonna be grandfather.
Which line of code?
2.
2?
Yes.
I'm talking about the line number. I have the red point. Okay.
Oh, then 3.
3. You think when I call this, it will go to the
4.
this say 4?
Yes.
Okay. Julian,
Huh?
what do you think? Again, think about that. Parent means what? Super means what? What does super mean? Julian,
I forgot.
you forgot? Alice, what does super mean?
I don't know.
Super means your parent class. So what meaning here, super does say is call the same function of my parent class. So Jeffrey, right? Jeffrey,
Yep.
if that's the logic, tell me which line of code is going to be executed to?
Can you repeat the question? The internet.
My question is, my code is crossing here. I try to call the super.say. Now, if I let the code continue, which line of code, right, it will be executed to? You need to understand what this means. Super.say, my parent.say function.
Mm-hmm.
So which line of code do you think it will be executed to?
14. 12. I think 12.
12? No. Okay, let's take a look at that, right? I let it go. It come here. Why? Because as I said, a super, which means parent class. Who is the parent class of child? Alice. Who is the parent class of child class?
Super? Wait, no, wait.
Who is the parent class of child class? It's father, right?
Yeah.
Why is it confusing? It's father. So basically means I'm gonna call father.say, which comes to this function, right? Come to this line of code. Okay, so now, Aston, if I still let it go, which line of code it will go to?
Excuse me, can you say that again?
Now I said I'm here now. I let the code continue. Okay, which line of code will be executed to?
9.
You have to understand what's the code mean. This code, what this code mean? Super.say. Again, the same here. Here we see super.say. Here we again see super.say. The different? It's the same or different?
The same.
The code is the same, but the execution is different. Why? Because the super is standing for different class. Here, super is referred to father. Am I right? Because father is the parent class of child. That's the reason why when you said super is referred to the parent class father, right? But when you come here, which class is super going to refer to, Aston?
Grandfather.
Grandfather, yes, because grandfather is the parent class of other class. So then now you proceed the code. You see here, printing, greeting from father. Right? I'm come to look at here. I first come here. Now I call the Alan.say. What is Alan? Alan is the child class. I'm gonna call the same function of child class. Okay, I call here. I call super.say. Hey, who is the super? Super is my father, right? So I come to the same function of the father. Again, it's called the super.same function again. Now I need to see who is my parent class of father. It's grandfather. So I come to the same function of my grandfather. Now I said print. What is me? I print out directly, right? Now if I let it go, what are you going to see? If you go to the console, you're going to see this message is going to be printed out first. Why? Because that's the first function code, first print code. And after you come back here, this is completed. It will go back to this place. Okay, this is completed. Now I can execute the second print. I let it go, print out a greeting from father. And once this is completed, I'm gonna go to this place, right? And print out greeting from child. I let it go. That's the end of the whole program. Okay. So here, basically at the beginning, I tried to let you know that there could be multiple level parent and child relationship existing, right? I'm also here to show you how we can, using the debug mode, to understand the cascading invoking relationship, right? I know maybe it's not easy to understand how the code is executed, but hopefully we have more examples to explain to you, right, in the future. Okay, any question regarding to the parent and children class? If no, right, I wanted to go to the another topic I want to cover today is about modules. I think I mentioned module before. What is module? Consider a module to be the same as a code library. Okay, code library. Library means what? A collection of something. Can be a collection of class or collection of a function, right? A file is containing a set of functions you wanted to include in your application. Okay? So now if you look at this slide, I create a simple slide indicating the Python module. The module is a code library. Okay, this is an example. Here, the module stands for a single Python file. Okay, guys, it's important, okay? This will be the subject of today's assignment, so listen carefully. A module is a separate Python file. Right now, we do everything in a single Python file, right? But in the reality project or complexity, cases, right? Definitely, you're gonna have multiple Python files. Okay. So how can we manage that, right? Each Python file, you can use it as a module. Okay. Inside this single Python file, you can have class or function. Okay. Here, I just give example of function. Okay. So I make the file name is my module. Now I have another different Python file. Okay, I wanted to using whatever function is already created in the my module.python. How can I use that? Okay, how can I use that? I have to import the module, and then I'm able to use my module.function name to call the function. Why do we need that? Why do we need that? Can we put all the functions in one file and call them directly? Yes, you can. But again, as I said, a full complicated project, you cannot put all the logic in one file, right? It's not easy to maintain, not easy to understand, it's not easy to extend and reusable. You're not just working alone, right? You're gonna have a different team members, different group. You try to organize your code in a more extensible way, and we try to reuse this code. What's the meaning of reuse? Reuse means I put all the commonly used code together, and it can be reused by different people. Okay, let me give you an example. Here, what I have. Okay, let me start from 0, right? I create a new module. Okay, I create a new Python file for the new module.py. But of course, you don't have to have the module in your file name, right? And now I wanted to create that, hey, this module is providing all mass function. Okay, so I describe the purpose of the module for the file, right? So now I can define add, which give me 2 number, right? I return the what? The result of addition. Same thing, I'm gonna have a minus. Okay, I'm gonna return the result of the minus. Okay, of course, here I give a very simple logic example, right? In the relative life, it can be very complicated. Okay, I try to let you understand how we use the module, but don't focus on why do we need this function, right? Okay, I think we have to restart the meeting. So please join back and let me continue and finish this topic, okay? So I'm gonna just stop here. You guys join back, okay? Before you are able to coding, you are able to print out the result, you should call the add function first, right? And where the add function existing, it's in the new module file. So I set a breakpoint here. Now, if I proceeded the code, what do you see? The code execution is come here. You call the add function, right? Do you see X, Y, right? They are passing 2 or 3. It's passing from where? It's passing from here. The add function that we call it come here. X, Y is 2 or 3. And I'm trying to return X plus Y, which is 5, right? Now if I did the go, what do you see? The console is print on 5. Go back to console, go here. And print on the result. Okay? So that helps you to understand how the code is executed, right? Same thing, right? If we wanted to have a new module dot minus, right? 4, 2, right? I execute, you see here, I run, that's different, okay? If I run this, which means no stop, it's gonna execute it directly, okay? So 5, that's the result. Okay, come back to the module concept. What happens, okay, if I have the same function but existing in different modules? Look at here. I have another module said add module, right? So I'm gonna do some different, okay? I'm using minus. Okay, now the function is different, right? Here the minus is using y minus x, but here is using x minus 1. Now I want to say, hey, I want to import import a second module, because you can add as many as module you want, right? It's just like a 2K, right? You want to You want to do the mathematics, you import the math module. You want to do the geography, you import the geography module, right? But here, if I said, what do you see? And call the minus function, but they're coming from different module. Okay? I call them. You're gonna see the result is different. Why is the result different? Because different module contain different logic, even for the same function. You get my point? Right? Though the function is the same, but the logic different, right? The logic is different. In the cat module, minus is what? Y minus X, right? At the same time, in the new module, minus means X minus Y. So you have to understand which module, which function is actually called. Okay? So that's a concept of module, right? What's the advantage of module? Emphasize again. The advantage of the module is you collect list of functions or properties in one file, and it can be reused in another file or another module. It's easy to understand, right? Okay, import. We have different ways to import it. That's the basic one. But what I found, because every time I have what? I have to repeat my module name. Sometimes if the module is too complicated, it's really very annoying, right? How can we do that? You have one way to giving lines to the module. As UM, as CM. Just give a different name. Oh, I know. If I have the as, which means I'm can using the aligns for the module. Clear? That's the same result. I'm just giving a line to the module. Okay. That's a different type of import. Another case. If I'm only using minus, okay, do I have to import the whole module? Think about that, right? One module file can contain lots of things, right? Hundreds of functions possible. But sometimes I don't need 100 functions. Maybe I'm just using few or one or two functions from the module. I don't have to including everything. When we say import means it will be load the whole things inside your function, inside this file, which I don't want. How can we do that? Okay, C. From new module import minus. What do you see? I can say from which module name import the function. And in this case, I don't need using the module name anymore. I just use the function. I can use the function directly. If I run this, it works, right? But you may ask me, hey, what happened if I wanted to import the duplicate function, right, from different module? Can you do that? I don't know. Let me try. Will it work? Oh, it'll work. But what happened? It actually happened overwrite, right? Which means the later one can override the previous one. Okay? But you don't want that, right? You want to import both minus from different module. But the name is the same. How can we do that? Again, you can give it a line, right? New module minus. Suppose that's a line for this minus, right? C module minus. Okay? Now I have a different lines, right, to the same function name, but from different module. So I can use in the alignment. Okay, run this. See? So that is the module concept, right? If you go back to these pages, okay, take a look at that. Okay, create a module. You just need to save your code in a file, right? Which means create a Python file. Now you use a module, which means import, right? One file to another file. You're using import. After you do the import, you're able to use the function from that imported module. Okay? Same for variable. If inside your module you have a variable, okay, you can import the module and use the variable directly. Okay? Rename a module using as to create a line for the module. To simplify that, right? Building module. Oh, building module. We actually use a lot of building module. Right? Let me see. Module building function. Okay, random module. Look at here. The most familiar module we're using is called random. Right? Remember, we're using random to create a random number between the given range. Right? Suppose I said import random module. Okay? And print out a random rand int function, right? Which return me a random integer. Okay, or I need a given what? Range, right? Hey, return me a random integer between 1 and 10. Where the random integer coming from? I didn't create a random integer function, right? But I have a random which is built in, which means it's already provided by the whole Python packages, right? I can import this module and using the function for this utility, right? I can do that. And of course, if you said, hey, I'm only using random int, right? So then you said from the random, right, import the random int function only. So in this case, you don't need the module, right? And of course, you said, hey, I want to simplify it. Right? Create an alien. Do that. Okay? Right? Another module, which is probably very useful, is mask module. Okay? So Python has a built-in module that you can use for all the mathematical tasks. What? Lots of things you even don't know, right? Sitting, EXP, floor, right? Log2, home. Okay, so let's use that, right? Return the value of x to the power of y. Okay, so which means what? 2 power 2 equals to 4, right? 3 power 2 equals to 9, right? So now let's use that. That is a built-in module, which means you can use directly. Okay, import. Okay, import. Now I can using all the mathematics. Okay, as math dot power, right? Power 2, 3, 8. Okay, right? 3 to the power 3 and 7. Okay, what else? Square root, right? Square root, using square root. Okay, so here I'm using math dot square root 4 square root what? Wait a second. It's passing 1 only, right? Because it's square root, right? I'm only passing 1 parameter. It's going to return me 4, right? 1 to 1, return me 11. Okay, so that is the concept of module. Okay, you can use in building module, right? You can create your own module. Okay, why do we have building module? Because that's a common function most of the program gonna use. Math module or random module, so they create a building module, right? Again, in your own coding project, you may have some common module, right? You wanted to create and separate it, right? And this module can be reused by different places or by different people. And that's the purpose of organizing your code by unit module. Okay, that's all. Any question, guys, about the module?
For the module, do you have to do PyCharm or can you use it on relp.it?
That's a good question. Let's test it, right? I'm not sure. Let's test the I so suppose I have here. Okay, so here I have a person, right? Now let's try this. That's a good example. Okay. Now I want to try to create a test main.py. Now I wanted to set import main. I think it's working. And here, what I'm gonna do is main. I have a person class, right? I'm using person.person. I need a passing name, right? Oh, what I have to do is main.person. Okay? Yeah, I think it's working. You see here, right? So I have the person class definition in my main.py, right? I'm using the person class in another file, right? But of course, we have to input name. Oh, another thing, right? If you don't want it to using module name dot blah blah blah, what you can do is from main import. You can import person, or you can import star. Star means what? Star means everything. Everything in the main.py file are imported here. But in this case, you don't have to using main.person. Right? Let me try this. Is it working? Person.introduce. Oh, sorry, this is a function, right? This is simply not working. Okay, so now if I start using person, what's gonna happen? As is working. Introduce self.name, right? Why there's no print? Okay, let me try it in PyCharm. Okay, so I have a parent class, right? Okay, now I come here. I set parent class. Let me first using test dot parent class dot father. Okay, and now I call the test dot right. Right. Let's see. I call the father function. It will call the father.right. Father.right that's gonna print out this. No, I don't need this one. Okay. Father is good at writing, right? So as you can see, I can using the father class from the parent class module. Okay, and I call that, right? So let me test the from parent class and import everything. Okay, so in this case, I don't need this, and I run this. Yeah, it's still working, right? I can use the mother also. Mother is speak, right? Speak. Yeah, I think it's working in PyCharm. So here, if I said import main. Okay, I'm using main dot person. Run this. What introduces no print anything? Yeah, I think the wrap IT may not working properly. Okay, it's not working properly. Let me see if I said person is a variable. 1, 2, 3. I'll give her ABC string right here. What I'm going to do is print main dot person variable. No. Okay. So wrapper.it, I don't think it support the module correctly. Okay. So then when I give the assignment today, you probably have to use PyCharm to test it. Okay, any more questions?
Nope.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna give you assignment today to make it test the module, right, with the parent concept again. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you on Thursday. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.